Welcome back to Chapter 5, Lesson 4. These are the key people of the revolution. Who's who? Who is who? 9 people that you need to know. And, again, the notes are there for you. So you can look it over, and if you can learn it just by that, hey, that's great. But I'm going to ask you to know the claim to fame column. Hey, who can't draw an arrow? I can't. There we go. That column. So I'll walk you through a few things in a different way, but it's just to help you reinforce this. So feel free to draw, doodle on page 75, anything that stands out here. So over here, I'm going to take you through the timeline as we learned it up here. Proclamation of 1763, Townsend Acts, Boston Massacre, Boston Tea Party, and the Continental Congress. So in those events, that's how I'm going to frame these people. We have people who are leaders, writers. So we have, first of all, George versus George. There's King George III, the British king during the Revolutionary era. And there's George Washington, the commander of the Continental Army, the two main leaders. King George is not a military leader, but he is the head of Britain. And George Washington is as close as we get to a central figure this time. Not the President of the United States yet, but he is the commander of the Continental Army. So, George versus George. Other leaders we have, Paul Revere, a big part of the Boston Massacre. He's the one who came up with the idea of calling it the Boston Massacre and engraved it as such. Was present at the Boston Tea Party. So, hey, Boston, this guy, he's all about it. Paul Revere. He's also the one who was part of the ride to warn people. Now, he often gets the most credit for that ride, but there's other people too, like we said. William Dawes, Samuel Prescott. These guys were also part of that ride, but hey, Paul Revere was already a famous guy, and he gets a lot of that credit. But he is a big part of what's happening in Boston, and what's happening in Boston is a big part of what's happening every place else.
Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Newman, but the British regulars are definitely on the move, and they are preparing to cross the Charles River.
2 lanterns, then?
Yes, just as we agreed. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. The whole city will be able to see them from the belfry.
Do you hear that? Sounds like soldiers.
We don't have much time.
Petticoats to muffle the oars. Great idea. Too bad about the full moon, though. I feel like there's a lantern on us.
Shh. The Somerset.
Paul, over here!
Deacon Larkin. Reliable as always.
I saw the lanterns. My father's horse, as promised.
I hope she's fast.
One many a race for me. Watch out for the red bellies! The roads are crawling with them.
Look, to the north!
Yes, it's the regulars.
Whoa!
Good eyes, girl. I believe the British are crossing to Cambridge. We've no time to lose!
Whoa!
What's the matter?
Riders coming. British patrol. Perfect stopping place for them. Hey ya!
Dash it all!
After them!
The regulars are on the march!
The regulars are coming! The regulars are coming! Hey! The regulars are coming! Wake up! Wake up! The regulars are coming!
The regulars are coming! The regulars are coming!
The British are coming! The British are coming!
Wake up! The regulars are coming!
Wake up!
The regulars are coming!
The British are
Wake
coming!
up!
John Hancock, Sam Adams, bestir yourselves! Welcome to Clark House, James, known for its peace and quiet. Sound the alarm!
Halt! People are sleeping here. Keep the noise down.
Noise? You'll have noise enough before long. The regulars are coming. Help me wake the house.
Coming! Don't break it down. What's going on, Paul?
John, Sam, the regulars are on the move. They mean to capture you two and all the munitions they can find.
We'll gather up our things and repair to Buckman Tavern to plan our escape.
James, how was your ride?
Incredible!
James, take care of the horses.
I'll help.
Mr. Revere's courage is amazing. When I tell the story, he'll be famous.
But his is only half the story. Mr. Dawes has been doing the same thing just as amazingly.
I can only write what I witness, and I've been with Paul Revere.
I witness great events too. From now on, I'll be a journalist. I can't let people get all their news from James.
Mr. Dawes and I are riding on to Concord. We'll understand if you don't want to come.
And miss a huge story? Of course, Sarah may want to stay.
Not a chance.
My horse is tired. He's had a long night.
We all have.
There's a rider coming.
Revere? Dawes?
Dr. Prescott, the freedom fighter?
Call me Samuel. I heard about your ride, Paul Revere, and I thought I'd join you.
You! Hold there!
Let's split up.
See you in Concord.
My horse will never make it.
It will now. Go. They won't do anything to me. I'm a British subject.
You're also a brave girl. Yeah!
If you're staying, I'm staying. Go, Mr. Revere, and good luck.
You're in my charge. The others will get the message through.
You! What's your name?
Revere. Paul Revere.
Boston's famous express rider. What brings you out tonight? I see you've been riding hard, alerting the countryside of our regiments headed this way.
I won't deny it.
Dismount, sir. Sergeant, take his horse, Mr. Revere. If you attempt to run or we are insulted, you'll pay the price.
You may do as you please.
What are you two doing out here? Shouldn't you be in bed, leaving such treasonous activities to your elders?
I've committed no treason. I'm a loyal British subject from a respectable English family.
Oh, but of course. Pardon me for not recognizing you immediately, your ladyship. It was the muddy face and dirty hair that had me fooled. Sergeant, round up these urchins. We'll need someone to clean up after the horses. Listen, a skirmish ahead. Sergeant, prepare the men to engage. What about the prisoners, sir? They're traitors. We shall deliver them to the civil authorities.
But they'll slow us down, sir.
You're right, Sergeant. Release them, but keep the horse. It's fresher than ours.
Yes, sir. You're free. I strongly suggest you go home. Don't let our patrols catch you on these roads again.
Company, forward!
Come, let us go.
Where are we going?
Back to Lexington. We have to help Hancock and Adams escape.
What a story this is going to be!
Yes, and I plan to help write it.
Thanks for your help. You'll be safe here at the inn.
Thanks for letting us come along. All the world will know of your brave acts when my newspaper article is published.
But there are other people. For example, in the Virginia House of Burgesses, the place where we make our laws in Virginia, or made them. This guy, Patrick Henry, an outspoken member of the House of Burgesses, he helped inspire colonial patriotism with his speech, "Give me liberty or give me death."
What are you doing with the pencil?
2 heads are better than 1, especially when one of the heads is yours.
But you're not the journalist.
Shh! Mr. Patrick Henry.
The question before the House is one of awful moment to this country. For my own part, I consider it as nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve those privileges for which we have been so long contending, we must fight. I repeat it, sirs, we must fight. An appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left us. They tell us we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be next week or next year? We are not weak. We are 3 million people armed in a holy cause of liberty. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from Boston will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
Give me liberty.
Or give me death.
So there's a leader who, not a big part of the battles, but a big part in inspiring people of what the stakes are here. This is a place where the stakes are pretty high. And another writer that we looked at for the events, his publishing of his book is itself an event. Thomas Paine, journalist, author of Common Sense, which convinced Americans that it was common sense, that they should be fighting for independence. And here we have the other events I need you to know. Lexington conquered, followed by the Declaration of Independence, followed by the Battle of Saratoga, the surrender at Yorktown, and the Treaty of Paris. So the others that you need to know, they fit nicely in here. Benjamin Franklin, a prominent member of the Continental Congress, he helped frame the Declaration of Independence. He helped Thomas Jefferson refine the ideas and make them a little more appealing and persuasive. And as well, John Adams was also part of that. And John Adams, being from Boston, pushed from the beginning for the cause of independence, for the beginning of at least the Continental Congress. So a loud voice pushing towards independence. Men like Thomas Jefferson may not have been as outspoken. They may have agreed and believed. Ben Franklin himself agreed, although he couldn't quite say it because his state wasn't quite caught up, and the rest of the colonies weren't quite caught up. So he played a political game, whereas John Adams was the one pushing for independence. And Thomas Jefferson, the major author of the Declaration of Independence. So these three men fit nicely together with this time period, not with the battles, but with the politics of why are we fighting for independence. And we discussed this guy, or we talked about this person here, Lord Cornwallis, the British general who surrendered at Yorktown. So one of the few British guys you have to know, apart from King George. But Lord Cornwallis, a British general who surrendered at Yorktown. And the last person, another inspiring writer, Phyllis Wheatley, a former slave, wrote poems and plays supporting American independence. And in class, we'll look a little bit at some of her examples of poetry, just like with Thomas Paine and Patrick Henry, the word itself being very important to the will of the people to fight for this war.
This is the place. Come on.
Moses, how do you know the Wheatleys? You've never been to Boston.
I don't know the Wheatleys, but all of my people know Phyllis Wheatley.
How?
From her poetry. She's the finest poet in the land. Muse, where shall I begin the spacious field to tell what curses unbelief doth yield? A woman who can write like that would never turn away someone who needs help.
Why are we at the servants' door?
Yes?
Miss Wheatley?
Yes.
We're in trouble, Miss Wheatley.
And we are hungry.
Did Mr. Adams send you?
Yes?
There's a stable round back. The door squeaks, so be careful. We can't wake the master.
You're a slave?
When I was 8 years old, I was kidnapped in West Africa and taken on a slave ship to Boston. The Wheatleys paid for me in the auction and took me home. Mrs. Wheatley helped me learn to read. Not just English, but also Latin and Greek.
Please, go on.
Well, a few years ago, all of the reading gave me an urge to start writing poetry. And soon thereafter, my first book was published. It has gotten a rather good response in England, though very few copies have been sold in the colonies.
That's not surprising. And maybe you should have put pictures in it.
The Wheatleys have helped me greatly. They even sent me to London.
But I don't understand. You're still a slave.
My situation is very different than most. The Wheatleys and I belong to the Old South Church. It is our hope that through meeting Africans, white people will realize how wrong slavery is.
I'd love to read your book.
I'm afraid you'll not be reading it now, Miss Phillips. We'd best get undercover before someone sees us.
Go. I'll bring some victuals.
So, there we have it. The major people that you need to know. Do it.